Kia ora, it's Ruth here and welcome to my backyard in Christchurch and welcome to my first of 3 videos to start off December to show you how my garden is starting this holiday season like. So to start, I'm going to show you Caleb's garden. Now if you've been watching some of the previous month's updates, this was just bare earth. We used to have a really massive yucca tree. It just got too massive. We couldn't see out the window from the lounge and weren't a big fan of it, and so Caleb took over this garden. It was me hands off and it's looking great. His sweet peas particularly are looking fantastic, and what I love about these sweet peas is that we planted these seeds when our baby was the size of a sweet pea. So way back in kind of start of July, start of August is when we planted the seeds, and now we're getting all the flowers while we're growing as well, so it's fantastic. So down here, firstly, in the last video I talked about making te kōka rope and soaking it. So what I have is a whole lot of leaves here just soaking ready. I've got a whole lot more that I need to make, and so I've realized that soaking them probably 3 days is the minimum. Kind of want them slightly slimy, which sounds yuck, but it means they just make a tighter rope and a tighter weave, which makes it easier to work with my hands. It's not as hard, but also makes a nicer rope. So if we start over here, this garden behind me is the one that I said I was going to mulch, and I have. And I love mulch. Mulch is something that I am so keen on. And one big thing about mulch is it can't be thin. This, if we have a look, I'll go from the edge, is a good kind of that thick. The idea behind mulch is to lock in moisture but also keep out weeds. And so if you've just got a thin layer of mulch, it might look nice, but it might not do its full job. So definitely get a good lot of mulch on. And I was mulching this garden because it's just rained, there was no mulch on it, and I want to lock in that moisture as we get into the hot of summer. Now one thing that I did with this garden is broad beans were growing in it, and broad beans are still growing in it. I took out all the different, all the plants, chopped them all down, and that was last weekend. Within a week, you can see they're already starting to re-sprout. And so this is what I do. I discovered it by accident last year because I've been trying to leave the roots in the ground more, especially things like this that keep nitrogen fixing, but also the idea of not disturbing the soil too much. But then I got a second crop, so I'm trialling it with this bed again, so it'll just look bare for a little while, and then hopefully I'll have a whole lot more broad beans for my second picking. Here is my carrot flower, which is quite nice. It's quite fun. We'll see if I get any seeds from it, whether or not. It's a good experiment. And some more things I'm trying to get seeds from are my coriander. They're not looking too happy. Some of them are a little bit less, but we'll see. Coriander definitely is better grown in winter. I might try grow a few in the shade over summer to see if I get any. But we'll see if I manage to get some seeds from this, because coriander seeds I can use in cooking, but also use to grow my own coriander for next year. In this garden bed I've also got garlic. We've got some down this end and then down the other end too. And you may notice at first glance, it's pretty obvious that it has rust. Never fear. When I first got rust on my garlic, probably 2 years ago when I first grew it, had a little bit of a freak out, thought I needed to pull it out. Did some research into it to realise that garlic and rust is nearly unavoidable. Planting it early definitely helps so it gets some good growth in it before the rust sets on. But even when it does have rust, they will continue to grow. I've done a little sneaky look around under the soil, and the garlic's not quite ready to pull up yet, so I'm just leaving it in there. And I remember that I'll be planting garlic in this bed this year. I won't plant it next year in here, and I'll make sure I plant something that doesn't get rust. But rust can blow with the wind, so even if you think you've done everything, it might blow over from your neighbours, it might blow over like 3, 4, 5, 10 streets away. So rust is a pain, but it's okay, you'll manage. And that's really all that's happening in this garden bed at the moment. We've got the garlic, the carrot flower, and the broad beans that will hopefully pop up. Now here's some more of my mulch. One thing you'll see is that I use pea straw as my mulch. That is my preferred one, primarily because it's cheapest and easiest to source. In Christchurch, lots of peas are growing, and so on Facebook Marketplace, on Trade Me, there's always bales that you can get. You can check with the people who are providing them, if they're organic, if they're sprayed, what they use to work with the peas. And if you're somewhere where the big bales aren't accessible, I wouldn't recommend getting the small ones. I mean, pea straw is great, but it's a massive cost. Like this is the second. I've probably done about 3 lots of this size just in this garden because I've done it thick. So use whatever you have. Use anything that is easily to source and is cheap, which is great. So on this side is our blueberries. Now we're growing them upright this year because we saw a friend doing it and thought we'd give it a go. And it is great because we can see all the wonderful blueberries, and it's going to be so much easier to access. And then down the bottom we've got strawberries, which are doing some beautiful flowering. We've got some little strawberries on, and we've had a few so far. Oh, here's one that is ready to pick. Oh, looks nearly over ready. I nearly forgot about this one. We'll get this one right now. And so these strawberries are going to need another feed soon, but because they are acid loving and so are blueberries, it makes this garden really easy to feed now. Used to have my strawberries and blueberries in separate places, but over winter I put them all together, and it means that our netting is really easy too. We just have our bricks down the bottom to hold the netting down so the birds don't get in, and we're not having to try and uncover one thing to get the blueberries, another to get the strawberries. So give it a couple of months. Probably end of January, start of February, we'll be harvesting some great strawberries and blueberries for our breakfast every morning and weighing them for SHEDWARS. So if we come down here, oh, you're lucky. You cannot smell this. This is sheep poo. Wonderful for the garden, terrible for the nose. Lots of nasturtium plants popping up. Nasturtiums are definitely seen as a weed. Luckily here in Canterbury, our winters are too cold for them to overwinter, so they all die down. When the little seedlings come up, they're easy to pull up, and I'm going to have a go at trying to transplant some of these into the chicken coop. We'll see if they eat them or not. If they don't, it'll be quite fun to have a whole big sprawling jungle of nasturtiums. And here, my spinach is going to seed, but that is okay because I'm going to be collecting some seeds, but also the leaves are still usable. This nasturtium is going to come out. But on the other side, oh yeah, more garlic in here that's gone to rust, but that's okay. As you'll see, rusty garlic, non-rusty spinach. It's okay if there's ones that don't rust next to each other. We've got my lettuce and then a second lot of spinach, and I need to plant some more spinach seeds, so I've got another succession. This is something I'll try and do maybe bi-weekly, because spinach and lettuce, definitely some of the things that we eat a lot, but in summer they like to bolt. So if I try and keep a good rhythm going of every 2 weeks planting seeds, I should have a nice harvest all throughout the summer. Down here I've got sprouting broccoli, which we've been doing really well from. Some broccoli that has gone to seed, which I am collecting. And carrots, which some of them are starting to go to flower, which I haven't quite kept up with, but that's okay. The chickens will get the leaves and they love them, but the other ones will be okay. Oh, more sneaky strawberries. I need to have a really good pick of these. Down here are broad beans that I haven't picked yet. I'll show you how long some of them are. They're massive. They're great. These ones here are with this apple tree, and it's my experiment. When I was doing some sunflower competition judging last year, went to some amazing gardens and went to one lady who had a more permaculture idea, very organic, which I love, and she suggested planting broad beans at the bottom to combat codling moth. We've got thousands of tiny apples on it currently that we really need to thin, which will happen soon. I should have put that in my December plan. But we'll see what happens with codling moth this year. I'd planned to do some other methods as well, but just hadn't got around to it. So this is going to be the real trial by fire of whether broad beans at the bottom of apple tree work. This garden is one that I need to work through. Got lots of spinach, oh not spinach, silver beet. So I'm not a big fan of silver beet. It's all going to seed. I need to use it a bit more. Got our carrots. Got lettuce. Trees that need to go to the chickens. This is going to get weeded and sorted out very soon. Some kohlrabi, some tatsoi that really need some watering and some feeding. And then, as I showed in my last video, these are the Brussels sprouts that are all going to seed really well. There's some really nice thick seed pods. And while it's December, I put in my other video, Brussels sprouts I'm going to plant now. They need, I've decided in Christchurch well, I can't even remember how many months. Planting them in December, especially from seed, means that by the time it gets to the cooler months, they've already got a whole lot of growth on them, and they're ready to put the energy into making the actual Brussels sprouts. Also down here I have got a zucchini, which currently has lots of male flowers. You can tell they're a male flower because they've got the long stem. But we've got a couple of female ones where the zucchinis are coming up, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Last year was a pretty poor year for zucchinis, so we've planted more plants this year, whereas the year before that it was just a glut and we had too many with 2 plants. So we'll see how things go. Now lastly in this section we've got some more berries. So here we have some black currants that are kind of bursting through the netting. We've got these for the birds, so hopefully we'll be able to get some black currants this year. And our apricot tree, which sadly got attacked, or got messed up by the frost. We were looking forward to this was going to be the second year in the ground. We thought, oh, you know, we might let it have some apricots this year. We got one last year, which was the most beautiful apricot, but we had a frost at the perfectly wrong time and all the flowers just got frosted off. So no apricots this year, but we do have a lot of feijoas, which we've got all of these flower buds that will open, and then we can see some that are already opening. And a little trick is birds actually pollinate this, not bees, and to pollinate it you can just go and touch the stamens of the flowers, get a little bit of that lovely pollen on your finger and pollinate them yourself. So I'm going to do this every couple of days just to make sure we get some good shedwars. We've got this tree here too, but they haven't started opening yet. So that's part 1 of 3 of my garden tours that I'll be doing. Thank you for watching this one. If you've got any questions, do let me know. Any tips or tricks, or just walking back here, I forgot to say, we've got leeks that have completely gone to flower as well. These ones were our leftover ones from winter. But the cool thing is, even though I take it too late, I should pick these soon because I can eat these as well. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will catch you next time. Ka kite!